Hello everyone, this is Shoaib Mohammed Omi here along with my group. Welcoming all of you in our presentation part. We all are the students of Central Queensland University, and as the part of our course that is Foundation in Accounting, we need to make a video presentation for the written assessment part. So here we have divided our written part into three parts, which is one for introduction, there is a body, and there is a conclusion. In body part, we have discussed about two companies like NAB and Coca-Cola Amatil Limited, their corporate social responsibilities, their stakeholders, and also we have discussed and critical analysis of their stakeholders and on which they are focusing. Is it their primary stakeholders or they are focusing more on their secondary stakeholders? So in conclusion part, we have argued few critical part of their company, like are they providing proper informations, or are they providing enough information for their stakeholders? So I'm not going to that part. I will just discuss about our introduction part. In our introduction part, before starting our presentation, I would like to thank our honorable coordinator for allowing us to work on such a wonderful topic. So thanks for that. But in a very short, I would like to describe about our introduction part, what we did inside our introduction. First of all, I tried to make it understandable to everyone that what does CSR mean. CSR means corporate social responsibilities of one company, under which company actually try to provide some supports to their employees, to the environments, to the society as a whole. But in recent times, corporate social responsibilities is becoming one of the most integral part of every organization, but there is no any specific guidelines or there is no any specific rules for performing corporate social responsibilities for a company. But only thing is that it may vary from company to company. For example, one company is disclosing their corporate social responsibilities to the annual report, another is not doing so. So they can make it from their own point of views. We have discussed in the intro part about some definitions of peer-reviewed authors. For example, World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is known as WBCSD, which described CSR as the continuing commitment by the company to the stakeholders. What I have understood by analyzing everything, CSR is not confined with fulfilling the legal expectations only. In recent times, they are investing more on human capital, environment, at the same time relationship with the stakeholders. CSR disclosure practice has been developed over the last 3 decades, and all the companies try to focus their CSR activities on their annual reports to make a good perception to the stakeholders. And the stakeholders should have positive perception when they came to know what are the corporate social responsibilities of a particular company. Company has wide variety and collection of numerous different types of parties, and these parties are the most key factors for a particular company, and company can get success by utilizing their different types of parties. If I would like to bring some important key points from the intro part, when stakeholders theory introduced in the early 1980th century, it represents a very positive shifts in the relationship with the other stakeholders like environment, society, government, country, and even enter the world as well. We have discussed about 2 types of stakeholders. One is primary stakeholders, another is secondary stakeholders. Primary stakeholders are those who are directly affected by the company and who can also affect the company as well. But in case of secondary stakeholders, the definition is little different, because secondary stakeholders don't have much power to affect the organization directly, but they will be affected by the organization. And we have also discussed about stakeholders theory, which is involved with 2 branches. One is ethical theory, another is managerial theory. Ethical branch of stakeholder theory tells us that every stakeholders should be treated in the same way, whether they are performing to improve the economic benefit of the organization or not. They will just perform for the company will perform for the stakeholders as a whole. But At the same time, managerial branch of stakeholder theory tells us not to consider all the stakeholders, rather they just focus on the primary and particular stakeholders who seems more powerful to the company. So that's all we have discussed in our introduction part, but rest of the part and rest of the analysis and critical part will be explained by our next group member. So I'm giving him floor to the, giving her floor to explain the rest of the part. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Prabjot and I'm going to represent the CCR reporting of Coca-Cola company. So in 1917, in the early 1917, in the Perth, an accountant sought to produce the Coca-Cola A metal in Australia. But after the 21 years, it's started its working, its operation. But now many of the parties are getting engaged in such a company, such a big company. So those are called as the stakeholders of the company, and the company is also having a responsibility among them to take care of them. Like firstly, the stakeholders includes its shareholders, customers, suppliers, employees, and the entire community as a whole. So the company is also having many of the responsibility to take care of its shareholders, stakeholders. So the consumers are getting the core factor, of this for this company. So there is very a good relationship and the strong engagement with the CCA, with the Coca-Cola A Metal developed forums, including the Facebook, Coca-Cola Australia, Facebook. These all are included to take care of the of its stakeholders. So companies performing many of the benefits, many of the programs for the benefit of its stakeholders. Like it provides many of the free health clinic for their employees and their families in Indonesia, and it's also focusing on on the environment. Like it provides a lot of the initiatives to protect the natural resources like water. It is using very much less of the water in its production because they want to save the natural resources. So so the company is working a lot for the environment and many of the customers, and providing a lot of the benefits to them. So after analyzing all the CCR disclosure apart from the annual report from 2010 to 15, the company is presenting more focus on the secondary and the primary, both of the stakeholders. So its main focus is on the ethical branch of stakeholder theory. So it is considering both the primary and secondary stakeholders of the company. So I'm going to
talk about the stakeholders of the NAB. So engagement with stakeholders is essential to the success of the organization. The executive leadership team keeps committed to having interactions with stakeholders so that they can have a better understanding of their expectations, identify emerging problems and opportunities, help to improve risk management, and improve the group's performance. Firstly, we're going to talk about the social and financial inclusion. NAB is focusing on addressing the challenges that social and financial exclusion pose in our community and within our organization. NAB plays an active role in helping people who are marginalized from mainstream finance and banking in accessing affordable and fair financial services. And it is delivering a variety of affordable personal and safe and business microfinance programs in partnership with the government and the community sector. NAB also plays a role in fostering a more inclusive society through certain programs to empower women, support Aboriginal Australians and African Australians, encourage diversity in its supply chains, and promote social inclusion within its organizations. For this particular stakeholder, the ethical stakeholder theory is applied as sectors such as community and government, and Aboriginal Australians are stakeholders that can affect or affected by organizations, but they are indeed not directly related to the survival of the corporation. Secondly, the environmental products and services. NAB are committed to assisting their customers face environmental challenges with various of environmental products and services. The organization is actively helping customers to understand environmental risks and innovating to develop new services and products to make it easier for customers to reduce their environmental impacts while increasing their long-term profitability. And NAB is also embedding environmental impacts into everyday business decisions. This stakeholder applied the ethical stakeholder theory as the environmental sector is not essential to the survival of the company. However, as the ongoing development of organization, it will or might be the essential factor in the future. And then education and young people. So NAB has also conducted a range of projects to support youth and help to build future prosperity, such as work inspiration, high resolves, and $20 million. This also has used the ethical stakeholder theory as reasons of that are as above discussed. The customers. NAB continues to support the protection of vulnerable consumers from charges and unfair fees in the fringe lending sector. NAB prepared a submission for the Treasury review of the small amount credit contract laws and the related provisions in the National Consumer Credit Protection Act 2009. As an organization believes that this law plays an essential role in making sure consumer rights are to be protected. Last one, for not-for-profit organizations, the employee volunteering program of NAB has achieved contributing 1 million volunteering hours, which is worth over 50 million Australian dollars in employee salaries. So to non-profit organizations since 2003. The organization also remains a valued element of its customer offering to government, community customers, and education. And it's closed for food. Employee volunteering day in New Zealand continues to add positive influence to the local communities. So I'm going to pass this to
Me. Yeah, hi, this is Vyad. And I'm gonna conclude our presentation part of the analysis part of our research throughout the NAB or Coca-Cola and the stakeholder theory and the branches of the stakeholder theory. So I'm going to tell what we find from our research. We found that the NAB especially focus on their customer, not for the all stakeholder, because they plan their CSR activity in such a way that which can be benefited for their customer, not for their all the stakeholder. So they miss I think they miss some basic stakeholder, or you can say secondary stakeholder of the company. And actually they did not provide so many information on their annual report and annual review or sustainability report, but in the recent past year they started to provide some information about their CSR disclosure, CSR activities or performance towards the customer and the other stakeholder. So, but I think this is not enough for the all stakeholder to perceive to have a good perception of the company or the clear view of the company. They try to overcloud our views from the company. And the other hand, you can say the Coca-Cola Amatil Limited gives such a good way, such a good information in their annual review. And it shows that they try to do many things for their stakeholder, like customer, employee, women, and poor people, environment, water, in such a good way. In such a it's a good way to provide some CSR activities or performance for the customer and the other stakeholders they have. So you discuss, if you view all their reports and sustainability reports towards recent past years, they provide so many information about their CSR activities. And one thing is, I think they provide good customer CSR activities towards the stakeholder, along with primary, not for the primary, also the secondary stakeholder. And if we talk about the branches of the stakeholder, the NAB actually more focus on their customer, or you can say primary stakeholder. Then you can easily, as our before analysis of the branches, two branches, managerial and ethical branches. The managerial branches is more focused on the primary stakeholder. So we can easily conclude that the NAB provided CSR activities in mind of in such a way that their customer get benefit from that. So we can say that the NAB provide NAB doing their stakeholder theory in managerial branch. And the other hand, the Coca-Cola Amatil Limited, they provide not for the primary, also the secondary, who do not have such power to sue a company or affect any affect their operation, but they also provide some social responsibility towards the secondary stakeholder. So we can easily conclude that the Coca-Cola are doing the opposite of the NAB, because they follow the ethical branch of stakeholder theory. So that's all of my our presentation. If you have any, we provide such good resource in our assignment and the reference list. You can have a look about our reference, from our reference to argue either we are wrong or right. But I think this research is not for wrong or right. We are trying to provide some basic knowledge and information that what the NAB doing and the Coca-Cola doing. So thank you all. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.